I just learned something about being ADD that I think can apply to a lot of people and was a big help and a shift for me. And what I learned is that ADD is actually not the inability to focus. So a lot of people think that if you're ADD, it's like you're scattered, you can't focus on anything, you just can't pay attention. And what I learned is that actually being ADD is having extreme focus for certain things. So what actually ends up happening is you get so focused on the task that you're doing that you kind of black everything else out, right? So you block everything out and you forget then other types of things. So you might be cooking something on the stove and this thought pops into your head that, oh, I'm supposed to, clean up fold the laundry that's in the hamper that I had in the dryer, or maybe you've got clothing in the dryer and you think to yourself, oh, I should go do that. Then you go and you try to fold your clothes and you totally forget that you have something on the stove. And you did that because you got so focused on the next task that you forgot about the previous. And then something else might happen that sparks your interest. Somebody might call you and you'll get super into that phone call. And then you forgot about the stove and you forgot about the clothing. This almost super ability to focus, not the inability to focus, but this super ability to focus can have negative consequences because it means that you move on and you go so deep into something that you forget other things around you. And that's been my experience. I don't really care so much about the labels or, and I was diagnosed with ADD when I was in high school. Do I think that is something that I have for life or whatever? I'm not totally sure. I'm sure there's people who will totally disagree with that perspective. Maybe I have it, maybe I don't. And maybe we all have more ADD today thanks to social media. But the point is, once I learned that, I started to understand some ways of working around that superpower, that I'll call it. The first thing that I started using, which has been super helpful, is timers. Now, it sounds sort of funny, but it's like if you can put a timer on for something that you're doing, what happens is when the timer goes off, it actually alerts you that, hey, you're going so deep in this, take a step back, take a pause, right? So now when I'm working or I'm even just trying to remember something that I need to do, I'm setting a lot of reminders in my phone, a lot of alarms in my phone, or even at work, I'll just set like a 25-minute timer and I'll say, I'm going to work on this thing for 25 minutes. I'm going to work on, whatever it might be for my job for 30 minutes, for 90 minutes. And when the alarm goes off, it kind of snaps you out of that trance a little bit and it makes you take a step back and say, okay, what do I want to engage in next? You get to be a little bit more intentional. So I've found that to be a very useful tool, is using timers. The second thing that I've been doing a little bit more of, which has been really helpful, is I'm using caffeine, but only to a certain point. And something else I've noticed about myself is that, and I think everyone should experiment for themselves because everyone's different, but having some caffeine is a net benefit. Having a little bit too much caffeine really kind of puts me all over the place. So I have been just playing with what the right caffeine amount has been for me. That also depends on how much sleep I got, and there's things like that as well. But roughly, I find a matcha tea, which I believe is around 60 to 80 milligrams of caffeine, has been a very good addition to that routine. If I have more, which is a coffee, which could be double that or roughly double that, it's maybe 120 milligrams of caffeine, that can put me a little bit too in the energetic mode. Because really the point actually is that for people who have this superpower, we'll call ADD, it's also about slowing down, right? So when we're kind of frantic and we're jumping from thing to thing and we're getting super deep and focused, the issue with that is we're more frantic. So if you can actually learn some habits or add some habits to your life where it slows you down, right? Meditation, not having too much caffeine, breathing, right? Feeling more grounded in your body, that practice is going to slow you down. Slowing down is going to make you more aware. You're going to be a little bit less prone to going really deep and forgetting about a bunch of stuff. So I'd say the last thing is really using different habits to slow yourself down rather than speed yourself up. So obviously the caffeine boost is about speeding yourself up, and I actually find that if you overdo that, it's a little bit counterproductive. So anyways, I'm hoping that if you have some ADD-like tendencies, if you have that superpower, we'll call it, I hope some of these tips are helpful to you. I would definitely start with the timers. Another way of doing that, which is just a tiny habit, is to say in your journal of your to-dos, start adding time amount, right? So instead of, write up my report, right? Today I'll spend 15 minutes writing up my report. Instead of emailing back, to confirm, I'm going to spend 5 minutes emailing back. I'm going to spend an hour working on the presentation. And just setting those time amounts will be helpful. But if you actually have something that can go off like an alarm, even better. Hopefully that was helpful to you, just sharing my own experience. I hope that your week is going amazing. And there's always more videos that I'm posting like this. If you enjoyed it, you can check out some of the other ones. But that's it. Bye-bye.